Hey guys, how's it going? Jovan, Hutton, Pulitzer here, and we're going to talk about election integrity in a sense to give you kind of a peek behind the curtain of how all of this works. Give me a shout out. Let me know where you're tuning in from. So we got Pennsylvania, Georgia, Kansas, Ohio, Arkansas, New Jersey, Australia. Look at that. New York, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, all over, people joining from all over. And you're going to want to share this. And so you can get your friends to tune in, because I'm going to give you a very scary look behind the curtain. Now, I know that sounds really weird, but unless you understand just exactly how compromised our systems are and how much they're interconnected, you can never necessarily understand why all that we're going through, why free speech is being suppressed, why it seems like so few have control over the many, right? You think about it, how in the hell do they actually know what's going on, and how do they move people, and how do they move people with weak minds to believe stuff? Because a lot of it is mind control. And I'm going to show you behind that curtain of mind control, which most people should know about. But I kind of have to warn you, okay? This is shocking at the least, terrifying at the most, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to open your eyes to some of these things, and when you see it, you're going to go, holy smokes, how did I not know this was going on? And as a matter of fact, Dr. Shiba was just speaking on this on another live broadcast, talking about how there's a partnership with Twitter and the United States government, and they share information you don't know about. I'm going to show you behind that. So while people, is my image still fuzzy? I'm surprised if my image is still fuzzy. I'm going to check it. Let me see. Okay, so are you talking about my face, or are you talking about my image? And so I don't necessarily know what happened with some of my camera here recently, but people have been saying that my image has been fuzzy. Is my image still fuzzy? Yes, fuzzy. Wow, I don't know what I don't know what to say. I mean, in most of it, we felt we fixed it. It was mainly because some of our heavy streaming and stuff going on. I don't know. You know, it's very possible that because this is going to Twitter and or YouTube and Facebook at the whole time, that they've compressed and throttled me down quite a bit. That's very possible. Let me check something up, because I can actually check something here on my computer and see if that is what's going on. Don't know, but I'm going to see if I can't find out. Let me go here and see what's going. Okay, hang on. So I got my refresh right. So it all seems to be setting okay. So they must be throttling my images again. That goes on, right? It happens because you're right. The message is more important than what the fuzzy image is. So I'm going to show you a few images first. Because I'm going to show you how, when I pull back this curtain, why, two things. Why all of this happens the way it does. The second part of it, I'm going to show you how it's all interconnected. And then you'll understand why, when I say we need to look at the physical ballots, why there is such paranoia in audits when we're looking at physical things. And it's because in the virtual world, all of these things that I'm about to show you can be completely controlled. So, you know, I used this image when I was promoting the broadcast this morning, right? That I'm going to show you behind the screen. And even though I use this, should we say, image of a hand coming out of a computer, right? That it goes much deeper than you could actually imagine than what happens. Because behind this, it's not just pulling behind the curtain and we're thinking about voting. There's a brain behind it. That's what I'm going to show you. Now, this is what we're going to look at this evening, if in fact you have joined me before, I've discussed this a bit to help people understand what goes on behind the scenes. Most people never know where to look for this engine. Most people do not understand where it is connected. So first, I want to remind you, all of the posturing, threats, and everything else is because we've made a simple thing is that we want to look at the physical ballots. You see, all along, they'll let you look at the machines. All along, they'll let you look at their copies of things. But when you say, no, I want to see the actual physical copy of the vote, that's where all hell breaks loose, and they try to throw everything at you. So if you haven't joined me before, let me play a quick video for you to remind you my role in this and what I do and what I created, which is called kinematic artifact detection. It's basically a new spin on a particular type of science and physics to help us understand what happened with the physical piece of paper. Watch this.
With mail-in ballots being the most contested part of this recent general election, let's take a look at the ballot as a simple piece of paper. Paper has memory. If a ballot was mailed, there will be folds throughout the paper. Physics say that once the paper is bent, it can never go back to its original shape. Our systems can detect this. While looking at the paper ballots through our systems, we're not only able to tell was the ballot actually folded and mailed, but we're also able to track, did it go through the postal system and get accounted for? While looking at these ballots, we can look closely at the votes, and we can tell whether the vote was cast by a human hand or a machine. The human hand marking the oval leaves telltale signs of human dynamics. However, if the oval was filled in by a machine, it looks totally different under computer vision examination. Besides, there should be no ballots with already filled in votes. These are just a few of the things that can be detected in the paper that is the ballot. And remember, the paper is a piece of code as well. If that paper is misprinted or misaligned, it will force the voting system to ask for adjudication. Adjudication means somebody, an administrator, takes a look at the ballot and then they decide what the voter intent was. This is a potential area of deception. In the end, everything begins with the paper ballot long before it gets into the voting machine. The paper ballot is the actual historic artifact of exactly what the voter intended to do.
So if you've never joined me before, let me give you a little preface on what I do. I am not here for a very quick hit, wham, bam, know a little bit, and then think you're smart. That's called Twitter. And you can go, if you have a short attention span, go jump over to the short attention span stuff versus being here to give the exacts. Because what I'm going to give you is, and this is the number one thing that some people don't do, and especially conservatives don't do, you must stop and pause. More importantly, you must learn. You shouldn't let it go past you in a blur really fast in 140 characters. That is not news. That is not education. That is not what I do. And so I'm going to give you an education so you can learn this and you can understand. Because if you can't see it, it's just like kinematic artifacts. If you can't see it, it is hard to understand it. And if you don't understand it, you can't believe it and do something about it. So I am here to do this from an educational standpoint. That is what this is about. So I'm going to show you some images as we go back here so you understand. Most people know something's going on behind the scenes, right? And you have to understand this so you can understand what is going on. Now, it is not as much as it's just elections behind the scene. There is something completely should we say bigger and more nefarious, that goes on behind the scenes. Ready? This is what it looks like, and I'm going to take you into it. I'm literally going to take you into the matrix this evening. Now, what this is called, just so you understand what it's called, is it's called a panopticon. Now, I know that sounds really weird. A panopticon. This is what you need to know. If you followed me for a while, I've touched on it briefly. Last year, before the elections, I was doing the circuit talking about China and China interference and how China sways things in America. They do this is because they have access and understand how to use a panopticon. Now, what is a panopticon? This is an image of a panopticon. A panopticon, the idea came about in the 18th century. Now, this looks like something right out of a Matrix movie or whatever, but a panopticon, and I'm going to show you the exact definition of it. Let me share my screen with you. You can actually look it up if you want by, oh, hang on, did the wrong one. Share screen, where am I? Ooh, okay, well, my computer, there we go. Okay, and so a panopticon, if you were to look at Wikipedia, it is basically a prison. Now, how ironic that is, because I'm talking to you about the Matrix, right? But a panopticon, and let me pump it up a bit for you, is a particular design of a prison, okay? A particular design of a prison. And it is designed where if you look at the guard in the prison, it's designed to be circular, okay? It is designed to provide a look in its light. You're exactly right. You saw this. If you watched the movie Guardians of the Galaxy, you actually saw a panopticon. A panopticon is a prison. What I'm going to show you this evening, and I'm going to keep it very tight and concise, is the actual prison you're in, how it works, and how we actually work to get ourselves out of the prison. Because we can get out of this prison. You just have to understand what it is. You just have to understand how to do it. It is this digital prison that has enabled social media to have tremendous control over every one of us. The control so much that they're able to make you think that people like this, when people are really against it, but if social media wants to push it your way, they can push it your way. Now, there's a project out there called the Haystack Project, and we're going to dive into it. I'm going to show you how some of these things work. And I have to tell you, I'm going to tell you right now, this is not pleasant. And if you don't want to get a little bit deflated, tune out now. But if you want to understand how this works and then understand what you can do to defeat this, keep watching. Here we go. Get ready. This is the panopticon in real time. This is a real-time beast right now. Okay, you are looking at it. We are basically looking at, in real time, what is approximately several 100 million mobile phones connecting right at this time. And how do they do it? Through apps, okay? And so you understand the grid on this. The purple ones are the ones that you cannot uninstall from your phone. The blue ones are the ones you willingly install on your phone. And they all connect into this center universe of the panopticon, which drives everything. This is the engine that drives everything you do on the internet. And so if I was to kind of go in here and look, and I was to look at a particular app, this one app that way over here on the bottom has about 5 million installs, and it's got 2 backdoor trackers in it. And so what you look at is how deep are these trackers in your system, because they all connect to each other. Now, I know that's a big part to bite onto at the moment. I'm going to show you how they're all connected. But this is called the panopticon. This is how all of us inadvertently give our information to the very system that literally works to suppress us. Okay? This is how it works to suppress us. So I'm going to close a couple of things on my desktop here as we go through them. And I'm going to show you how this works. In the Panopticon, and I'll give you the link, by the way, that you can do, okay? You need to think about this as it's just how we've become connected. It is how surveillance and information is used against us. It is, in many ways, unbelievable it happens, but this is the key. You have total control over this. Total, absolute control. So let's dive into this, and I'm going to show you how to control it, and I'm going to show it how it happens to our society. Okay, here we go. You are looking at my screen in real time. You are looking at Twitter. Now, this is Twitter optimized up. You see Twitter in the center there. Just so you understand, 1 billion installs for Twitter. 1 billion installs for Twitter. This is Twitter, and this is how Twitter fits in to this universe. Now, to understand how this cog connects, this is the whole panopticon here. And when I just click on Twitter, it's not the fact that Twitter has 1 billion installs. It is the fact that Twitter has 39 individual backdoors into your phone. Now, think about that for a minute. One app has 34. Now, I know that people are going to say, I'm going to get, I'm going to get rid of Twitter. You don't have to get rid of Twitter. I'm going to show you how to do it, right? But one app you allow on your phone opens, unbeknownst to you, 39 other doorways to who you are, what you are, and what you do. So let's get back into this. Take a look, because I'm going to give you an example of one. So these are the 39 hubs that basically take your information and run with it through back doors, tracking you wherever you go. So let's say, okay, well, I agreed to do Twitter. Now, you understand, you signing up on Twitter is absolutely voluntary. When they tell you to accept the app, what you're really accepting is this, okay? You're accepting this information. These are the tentacles, but let's click on one of these tentacles so you understand what's going on behind it. So Google, even though you accepted Twitter, you accept it with it, Google Tag Manager. Google Tag Manager has now doubled your tracking. This is where Google Ad Manager goes. Now, Google Ad Manager is on 4% of all the apps out there, and there's tens of millions of them. What I just did is I jumped from one app, okay, to another app, to another app, to another app, which jumps to SquareCrate, which jumps to Facebook. I just told you about using Twitter. All of your information, though, basically has an additional 1,600 layers. 1,600 layers feeding back to Facebook. You might not have ever thought about how do all these damn things connect. This is why you can look at something on the web and then all of a sudden you start seeing it in your search all the time. This is how the system understands who you are. And some of them can be very simple, right? You want to go to Evernote just to stay connected. You want to go to Gas Buddy just to find cheap gas. Well, 50 million people do that. Candy Crush Saga, right? 100 million people do that. My Radar, I just want weather, right? It's got another million plus installs. Your hotel, right? But even in your hotel, it bounces you to another 4. So as you go through this matrix, what you understand is how everything jumps to something else to create another connection as you go deeper and deeper into the panopticon. This is what the entire internet works off of. Now, you shouldn't get terrified. You should understand, how do you, as a internet user, how do you use this to your advantage? How do you deal with it? This is exactly what our government did in censoring with Twitter. This is the basis of Dr. Shiva's suit. They worked together with Twitter to actually try to connect to this information. So let's go right here. Let's just look at this one. This is basically Sprint. It seems no big deal. It's your one Sprint one, but you see when I connected to the Fury, here are all the trackers embedded in that one simple thing. This is why, if you want to understand how the system works and you want to do something for yourself, which you can take total control over, here's how it works, because it's painfully simple of how you get control of this. Number one, on your desktop and in your mobile phone, you literally need to shut off all notifications. Let me tell you why. What happens is technology creeps into your life under the premise of making your life easier and better. If you don't take responsibility for your life, knowing what you should do, when you should do it, and checking on certain things, we've come to rely, on these devices and these things to do it for us. Do you really need an app to remind you to take your prescription? How did people before us do it? Do you really need GPS on your phone when you actually have GPS in your car? Are you doing yourself a favor when you have a new car and it has GPS? It says, well, let's just connect it to your phone for easiness. You're actually given access to your phone. And Matt asked the perfect question. Matt, you're right. You got a notification to watch this video, right? We get used to notifications in our life. The bottom line is you have to decide, do those notifications make your life better? And what are you actually exchanging for it? Right? And you're right. Everybody's saying, hey, notifications is why we're here. And so this is the cause and effect of when you get into a technologically based society. As we give over our premises and our permissions to technology, you are also giving up part of your life. And it sounds like a great conundrum. You're here because you got a notification. So it really goes back to, what are you willing to exchange things for? The way I do it in my life is all of my computers, all of my phones, I have completely turned off all notifications, all updates, all run over battery, and all bring to the forefront if there is a new install. You see, when you turn off notifications on your mobile devices, you can turn off no notifications as you want them, but they have 5 or 6 hooks in them. You literally need to open your settings and look at your notifications, and you need to ask yourself on your alarm clock, why does my alarm clock, which should only work on my phone because a phone has a clock on it, why is it reporting back to Google? And when you understand that the alarm clock reports back to Google, but you also gave approval for your contacts and your calendar, it gives Google a reason to look at your calendar to understand, how does your alarm clock do with your calendar, which means they can look at your calendar by itself and look at your alarm clock by yourself. And so the way for you to fight this is you have to kind of a little bit go manual. You don't need your computer to have a setting on it that says every night we'll check if there are new updates. You know why? Because if you're an adult, you can remember, I should probably just, and I have a routine, right? Before I shut down my computer on any given day, I check to see if there's updates. If there is an update, I'll put it on. Now, if you forget it, your computer can get behind and slow. But when you understand you are opening these permissions, what you're doing is you're feeding the beast. And the beast has exchanges on it, right? Is Android has all the apps go through them on the Android platform, and Apple has all the apps go through their own iTunes. If you want an app on Apple, you have to agree to let Apple have all the information you can get and put their hooks into it. It's how the system's built. And that's why your phones come with things that are pre-installed on it, things that you cannot get rid of. And it's because they live off those hooks. To kill the beast in the instance of, how does digital society use this against you? How does digital society watch what you do? How does digital society know that you're a conservative, looks at you, understands what you're sharing and other people are looking at, so they know what to censor? Every bit of it is because of this. Because we live in this matrix. This is it. But you can shut them off. You shut them off by understanding how to use your phone, what's there. Let's just look at Yahoo Weather, just for giggles, okay? This is Yahoo Weather. Yahoo Weather took that one and boom, kicks into, of course, Yahoo. Now we got Yahoo feeds back just to Yahoo. Yahoo turns around and feeds into another 500 million installs with all these other trackers on it. What they do is they go from one to another, to another, to another, to another. And that is why it is basically named a panopticon, because it is in fact a digital prison where the prison guards, right? Where the prison guards can watch all of your things. So let's say Vanessa here, Vanessa said she just turned off all of her notifications. Well, Vanessa, do a drill for me. You set, and you went into your apps, you click on your app, says turn off notifications. right now, since you said you'd turn them off, go back and look at them again. Now, what you'll find, okay, what you'll find is they only turned off the notification for that one app. Now, when you open your app settings and then you look at the app, you'll see things like it still has the ability to update. That means it's still open. When it has the ability to take precedence over other apps, that means even though it's not used, right, it's considered the top app, it keeps running in the background. You have to look through every one of these settings, and you must shut off every one of these. Using the alarm clock, Dave's fine. Just don't connect it to your calendar. Neuter the settings. Don't feed information. Don't feed information backwards in time. Yes, the panopticon is your active friends. You talking about updates. There are yeah, you do updates, but you do updates on your terms, not their terms. The reason for your terms is if you're watching your phone, just check for an update. Don't let it auto update, because auto update keeps it on all the time. And because it's on all the time, it gets to see everything. Oh, by the way, somebody said it. Let me see if I get it. Hang on. Remove all the apps you're not using. Period. Remove all the apps you're not using. Now imagine if 1 million people right now, because of you sharing this video, started shutting off their apps. Shut off all your pre-installed apps. Basically, if they can't be uninstalled, make them basically go inactive with a forced stop. But you have to uncheck them once in your apps. You go back and look at them again, and you do not let them draw power over other apps. You shut them all off, and you keep on looking at it. Eventually, you can get this done on your phone. You do it one day on your phone, and you do it one day on your computer, especially if you use Google. They're all connected together. Remember when you go into a website and you don't want to do a password that says sign in with Facebook? Well, that easy sign in is not as much as a convenience to you. You just actually let those two engines talk together and feed each other more information about you. The easy site you signed in gets all the Facebook stuff, and the site sends all the other stuff back the other way and feeds the bees. And so if you want to make a dent, it's not leaving social media. It's not even leaving Facebook or Twitter. Just like they suppress your speech, don't be a profit center for them. You are of no value in the ad system if you've shut off your profiles and your notifications. You have zero worth. That's when you're using them to get on their system and they can't use you. And that's what you must understand about how this system works. Duck, duck, go, duck, duck, go is fine. It's fine, right? But you do not have to leave the system. Charles, you're right. We are the product. You don't have to leave Twitter. I stay on Twitter and Facebook so I can reach people that haven't been reached yet. I don't want to just preach to the choir who knows this. I want to evangelize to people that don't understand how the system can take advantage of you. I want to give you your power back by opening your eyes. And so tonight, why I did this to help you understand it is to how do you get deep into this to understand, just like the federal government works for you, and you must wake up and understand that that is a truism. Period. That is a truism. And that you must vote, and you must be active, and you must have your eyes open, and you must work to fight for what's right, to make the system work for you. You must understand, it's the same about social media. Social media is nothing without you. Now, if you leave in Twitter in droves and 100,000 leave here or 200,000 leave here because they get pissed off, that's nothing. What you have to do is actually teach your friends, teach your family, and everybody how to shut off their revenue stream. And the way you shut off their revenue stream is by not allowing your device to report to them. That is your right. They agreed to that just to be riding on that communication airway. You are entitled to 100% privacy. You must take the time to understand how to shut all these things off and how to neuter it, and then you use their service for what you want done. Do not allow them to piggyback on you. And that's how you deprive the beast of the fuel of you, because the system truly belongs to all of us, anywhere. So that's it. I want to make sure you understood this. I want to show it to you. You can Google it. It's called the Panopticon. You can actually find it at haystack.mobi/Panopticon. Ready? Haystack.mobi, MOBI/Panopticon. This is how you take control. This is how you deprive the beast. This is how you stop being a battery unit. This is the way it works. This is the way the entire system works. And you don't have to leave just because they censor. What you have to do is you have to cut them off at their one-way umbilical cord to you. And the way you cut them off, you can still keep using their systems, okay? You just cut off the data stream. If enough people were to shut off their data streams, then you would get the social media giants' attention. See, you can bitch and bitch and bitch all you want, but they even know when you're bitching, you're on the system. And as long as you're on the system, they're making money off you. So even when they bitch, you're valuable to them. But when you cut this off at the knees, you are taking back control. And that is what it is about. You, as an individual, must take back control. In many ways, you must absolutely cut the cord. I love you all. Take care. Please share this. Help your friends understand how to do this. This is how we together beat the system. Take care. Good night. Bye-bye.